Latest development in military development and reform. And next, we will show to you the mass pageant.
群众游行，现在开始。
Now the mass pageant begins. You're watching China Central Television. We're having a live show on the celebration of the 60th anniversary of the People's Republic of China. Now it's the pageant parade part of the event.
The theme of the pageant parade of the capital, celebrating the 60th anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic of China, is Advancing with the Motherland. It's divided into 7 sections: struggling and initiating, reform and opening up, crossover century, scientific development, extraordinary achievement, beautiful China and bright future.
36 square formations of 100,000 ordinary citizens delegates from various circles and 60 floats, together with 6 performing arts groups, will pass through the square. They showcase the historic development of the People's Republic on Chang'an Avenue.
The leading formation is composed of the Guard of Honor of the national flag, the national emblem, and 2 Chinese characters meaning National Day.
"1,949 young people are marching to the melody Ode to the Red Flag." The 5-star red flag is the spiritual banner of the Chinese nation.
The national emblem symbolizes the country's prosperity and the people's happiness. The float is surrounded by 2,009 young people. The national emblem carries the theme, and the wide marble railings represents the long history and culture of the Chinese nation.
During the 60 years from 1949 to 2009, the nation experienced groundbreaking changes. The people went through hardships and obstacles, development and progress.
Formations are now coming. They showcase the theme of struggling and initiating. Taking part are 100 people who are the same age as the country.
The Struggling and Blood Float bears the August 1st Medal, Independence and Freedom Medal, and Liberation Medal. The float is 36 meters long, the longest to date.
There are 18 veterans on the float as well. They are outstanding representatives who've made great contributions to the founding of New China. The coming float carries the portrait of the founding of the People's Republic, Chairman Mao Zedong.
He led the party and the people of all ethnic groups to achieve the new democratic revolution. He established the People's Republic of China and made great achievements in the socialist revolution and construction.
60 years ago today, a great voice pronounced the founding of the People's Republic on the square.
Mao Zedong thought is Marxism-Leninism applied and developed in China. It consists of a body of theoretical principles concerning the revolution and construction in China and a summary of experience. Practice has proven both are correct. Under the guidance of Mao Zedong thought, the people of all ethnic groups have worked hard, opening a new era for the development of the Chinese nation.
Mao Zedong once said, "The sacrifices of many great people changed the world, and coming up is the hard-working and pioneering formation."
The front of the float is the famous first automotive works, Jiefang, or Liberation. In 1956, the first Jiefang truck rode off the line of the Changchun First Automotive Works. 20 famous model workers are greeting the country and the people.
From Ansai, Shanxi province in northwestern China are performing their festive waist drum dance.
The Ansai waist drum has more than 2,000 years of history. It originated from Asian warfare, and now it expresses the joy of harvest and the happiness of life.
The intense drum beats, the powerful steps, changing formations, and strong shouts showcase the masculine beauty on the lowest plateau.
Their dancing and smiles express their joy at having been liberated and now being the masters of the country.
The two formations coming up represent reform and opening up. The story of Spring Formation carries the portrait of Comrade Deng Xiaoping toward us.
Comrade Deng Xiaoping led the second generation of central leadership as they insisted on emancipating the mind and seeking truth from facts. They opened a new age of reform and opening up. They established the Deng Xiaoping theory, leading people of all ethnic groups to march ahead on the socialist road with Chinese characteristics.
The visionary blueprint for the modern construction he depicted for us is gradually turning into reality. Chinese people have reached consensus in the continuous practice of construction of socialism with Chinese characteristics.
把马克思主义的普遍真理同我国的具体实际结合起来，走自己的道路。 建设有中国特色的社会主义。
The adoption of reform and opening up determine China's destiny. It is the only road to developing socialism with Chinese characteristics and realizing the revival of the Chinese nation. Under the direction of Deng Xiaoping theory, Chinese people take part in the reform and opening up and the construction of socialist modernization. They've made remarkable achievements admired by the world.
In this performance, young Chinese in the prime of life, full of passion and energy, are pursuing their ideals as the country advances.
Coming up are two formations presenting the theme Striding into the New Century. They carry the portrait of Comrade Jiang Zemin.
The third generation of Chinese leaders, with Comrade Jiang Zemin as the core, raised high the visionary banner of Deng Xiaoping theory. They kept up with the times, making exploration and bringing about new ideas. They established the important thought of the three represents and led the CPC and all the people to a new phase of comprehensive reform and opening up.
A new century, a new age. Chinese people enjoying a brand new visionary blueprint.
把中国特色社会主义事业不断推向前进，共同创造我们的幸福生活和美好未来。
once referred to, the CPC must represent the productive forces, culture and the fundamental interests of the majority of the people. Under this directive, the CPC has led the people of all ethnic groups to realize a new leap forward in the process of the comprehensive construction of a well-off society.
See the group dance striding into the new century. The red and blue silk fans represent the waves of the Yangtze River, which push forward the ship of reform and opening up, sailing to the future. Two formations showing us the theme of scientific development concept. They're carried of Comrade Hu Jintao. Entering the new historic era, the CPC Central Committee, with Comrade Hu Jintao as the General Secretary, raises high the banner of socialism with Chinese characteristics. It follows the guidance of Deng Xiaoping theory, the important thoughts of the free represents. It carries out the scientific outlook on development. It leads the party and the Chinese people, pushing forward the task of socialism with Chinese characteristics.
A new starting point and a new goal. The Chinese people are carrying forward their cause of building a better life and a more prosperous society.
为夺取全面建设小康社会新胜利，谱写人民美好生活新篇章，而努力奋斗。
Socialist construction with Chinese characteristics in economy, politics, culture, society, eco-civilization, and the party are advancing under the direction of the scientific outlook on development.
Today, 1.3 billion Chinese people are headed towards a well-off society. It is a proud day for the nation, for the world. flowers and peony blossoms are a blessing to the country.
Happy birthday, our great country. And our wishes go to all the Chinese people for their happiness and peace. The theme of this float is Brilliant Achievement. 19 formations of 43,000 people showcase what China has accomplished over the past 6 decades.
Agriculture is the foundation of the national economy. Farmer representatives lead the formation. The huge wheat sheaf on the float forms golden waves, which represent a good harvest.
China has solved the problem of feeding 21% of the world population. The old dream of having enough to eat and wear has come true. Modern agriculture technology has been widely popularized. The ability of agriculture to create wealth continues to grow.
Construction unit, farmers' families, hay setters in getting rich, and grassroots officials working in the rural areas are featured.
We can see beautiful villages, tidy cottages, and modern facilities. This is what the socialist new countryside should look like.
Industry is the leading factor of the national economy. The model gear symbolizes the engine of the Chinese industry.
High and new technology lead the way. The old industrial bases are reviving. Industry has become a strong foundation for prosperity, a strong military, and a better life for the people.
Is led by transportation, and China is completing its large-scale transport infrastructure, modernizing transportation technology and facilities. Large projects include the Qinghai-Tibet Railway, the Beijing-Tianjin Express Rail, and the Daqing Rail. They have all caught the world's attention.
China's cargo turnover at ports ranks #1 in the world, and its total length of highway ranks #2. China's own Harmony train opened a new era of high-speed rail for the country, and the regional jetliner created by China has soared aloft.
This float highlights China's energy achievements. It's powered by solar panels, the only one in the parade.
After 60 years of work, China has worked to create a stable supply of economic, clean, and safe energies.
Represents ecology and environmental protection. It includes working staff and volunteers in environmental protection sectors. New China issued its first comprehensive regulations on environmental protection in the 1960s, and in the 1990s, environmental protection was upgraded to a state policy.
The scientific outlook on development calls for sustainable development, a well-off life, and a sound ecosystem. And this requires environmental awareness.
60年来，我大力发展社会主义民主政治、人民代表大会制度、中国共产党领导的多党合作和政治协商制度、民族区域自治制度、基层群众自治制度日益完善，我国社会主义民主政治展现出更加旺盛的生命力。
宪法是我国的根本大法，依法治国是党领导人民治理国家的基本方略，是社会文明进步的重要标志，是国家长治久安的根本保障。
特色社会主义法律体系基本形成，依法治国基本方略有效实施，社会主义法治理念深入人心。
Okay, so we're looking towards the end of the civilian parade now. It's been quite a spectacular display, but as you were pointing out, Glenn, the focus again on socialism. We had this parade with the 4 generations of leaders, Mao Zedong, we had Jiang Zemin, we had Hu Jintao, we had Deng Xiaoping.
That's right.
And all the talk is about the progress China has made. We're going a lot back to the roots, aren't we, here?
That's right. There's, if you compare it to 10 years ago, that ideological aspect is more in prominence now than it was. And this reflects, I think, Hu Jintao's own approach. So we see actually a moment of glorifying Mao and some of the old songs We see even on the street above the, in front of the podium, 社会主义好, socialism is good. So there is a constant sort of reminder that socialism has brought China to this place, and socialism is important in guaranteeing its future.
The 16 characters are the country's policy on science and technology. That is to make independent innovations and leapfrog advances in key areas of science and technology, and supporting and guiding future development.
China relies on science and education for its rejuvenation. Innovation is the big buzzword to go from made in China to made by China.
Now we see representatives of the space sector. On board the float are heroes like Yang Li Wei, China's first astronaut.
Astronaut Zhai Zhigang has just exited the spacecraft. He performed China's first spacewalk. The Chinese flag was shown in space. Every Chinese feel proud of the moment.
Of 82 colleges and universities represent educational development. Representatives are teachers and students from Beijing's colleges and universities.
China now has free compulsory 9-year education in both urban being made in vocational education.
Traditional culture thrives in changing times.
This applies to both the country's non-profit cultural programs and the cultural industry.
Is represented by athletes, physical education workers and amateur sports enthusiasts. The 3 tires of the float represent fitness for all, traditional sports and competition sports.
The ambition to host the Olympics helped spur the drive for physical fitness. There were many Olympic champions standing on the float. The traditional sports events have their place, and the Chinese have also excelled in international competition.
Hosting last year's Summer Olympic Games was a dream come true for China, and the Paralympic Games meant a double success.
Now we see iconic images like the bird's nest, the auspicious clouds torch, the Fuwa mascots, and the Paralympic Funyo cow, representatives of the Olympic volunteers, construction workers, and other working staff also in this group.
Medical care and health formation. The green leaf symbolizes health, life, and hope. This is a big thing for a developing country.
Both rural and urban residents now have their basic medical needs covered. The family planning policy has alleviated pressures on resources and population and the environment.
In 2004, President Hu Jintao called for the creation of a harmonious society. This float illustrates a community in which everyone enjoy their rights to education, employment, medical and old age care and housing.
The leadership says the basis for building a harmonious society lies in the communities.
The next theme is Unity is Strength. It's comprised of people and representatives who've taken part in the country's fight against floods, earthquakes and other natural disasters.
They show how the Chinese people have come together in times of trouble.
The representatives of returned overseas students and overseas Chinese. The Yangtze River and the Yellow River are the symbols of the Chinese identity. The Great Wall symbolizes the perseverance of the Chinese people.
returned students and overseas Chinese have contributed greatly to the country's development.
Reads My Chinese Heart. These are the One World formation. That's an echo of the Beijing Olympic Games slogan, One World, One Dream.
They are the international celebrities, foreign experts, foreign students in China, and representatives of foreign-funded organizations in Beijing. And one of my colleagues from CCTV International, Edmund Ma, an anchor of CCTV International, was also on that float.
These dancers are performing I Love You China. Following will be 34 floats representing China's 34 provinces, autonomous regions and municipalities, as well as the Hong Kong and Macau special administrative regions and Taiwan.
The performance represents solidarity among China's 56 ethnic groups.
The giant wheel symbolizes that under the leadership of the CPC, people of all ethnic groups have pulled together in times of trouble. The 56 sunflowers stand for the 56 different ethnic groups. Concepts of the Olympic Games have been extended to the current development idea of a people's Beijing, a high-tech Beijing and a green Beijing.
This is the theme of charming and beautiful China. This is the Tianjin float. Tianjin is known as the international port and eco city. It is an economic center in North China.
Next up is Hebei. The province is in the Bohai Sea Economic Circle.
Now it's the Shanxi. The province used to be known for natural resources, but has made a name in economic and cultural development.
In the Mongolia Autonomous Region, agriculture is strong here, as well as livestock and dairy. Inner Mongolia is famous for its grasslands and its horsemen.
Here comes Liaoning. The province is one of the country's old industrial bases. It has made great progress since the central government launched the rejuvenation move.
The float from Jilin for the province is famous for the Changbai Mountains, and Songhua River is known as one of China's golden corn belts.
Next up is Heilongjiang province, is one of the country's most important commodity grain production bases. The province has the most energy resources in China.
The next float is from Shanghai. It is in the shape of the Chinese pavilion for the 2010 World Expo. The name of the expo mascot is Hai Bao, which means treasure of the sea.
The coming float is from Jiangsu. The province is known for its beautiful lakes. Pillar industries include electronics, textiles, chemicals, and equipment manufacturing.
Up next is Zhejiang. The provincial government encourages people to start their own businesses. Along with Jiangsu and Shanghai, it forms the Yangtze River Delta region, the most developed area in China.
The coming float is from Anhui province, the birthplace of rural reform. In 1978, 18 farmers in Xiaogang village agreed secretly to divide communally owned farmland into individual pieces. The great rural reform kicked off.
The Fujian Formation faces Taiwan. The State Council has decided to support Fujian to accelerate construction of an economic zone.
This is Jiangxi. Jiangxi was one of the earliest bases for the Communist Party of China. The province is rich in iron and non-ferrous metals.
Up next is Shandong province. It has extensive agricultural and marine resources. The city of Qufu is the birthplace of Confucius.
Here comes Henan province. Henan is noted for agriculture. 3 of China's Asian capitals were located there.
Now is the turn of Hubei province. This province is home to the world's largest hydropower station, the Three Gorges Dam project.
Next up is Hunan. The province has long been known as the land of rice and fish. It is rich in non-ferrous metals. The town of Shaoshan is the birthplace of Chairman Mao.
Guangdong has played a pioneering role in the country's 30-year reform and opening up. It's one of the country's it has 3 of the country's special economic zones: Shenzhen, Zhuhai, and Shantou.
This is